Guess what? I know you're not gonna believe it. I don't have no receipts to show you guys any kind of proof, but I might have just bought the cheapest bike in the world. And here it is. This is the Bajaj Boxer. And obviously it looks like a bag of shit right now. But I've got hopes that I can restore this bike and also modify it to my liking. And I'm going to take you guys along with me through this series as well. It's going to be something completely different, something that I've never done before. I've never even fitted my own brake pads on before, and I'm going to just attempt such a big thing. For me, it's very big. But good thing is, this bike is like the old generation bike, so there's not much wiring that I've got to faff around with, and it's just a lot of mechanical situations. So yeah, if you come closer, you can see it's just dirty.
Look.
Like, I don't know what's going on here. This is not where a signal light should be, and I'm guessing this was the fuel cap replacement. I mean, if you tip over, your petrol's gone everywhere, and there's literally nothing in there, so we're not even attempt to start it because I'll get into that bit in a second. But obviously we've got these nasty old seats that are definitely going to get changed, and yeah, no rear signal lights whatsoever, or even brake lights. It's just so dirty, this bike, man. Like, if I touch it, I got a feeling I'm just gonna go ill. I don't know. And yeah, this is definitely a health risk. And another thing, yeah, so I'm guessing this is where the signals were supposed to be. They don't work. There's no battery in this bike. That's another thing. And we tried to start it. It's just that there's no fuel in it. And when it did have fuel in it, as you can see, it's been leaking from the head. And one thing that I found out is it's got a minor little crack in there, but we're not going to attempt to fix it because I've got plans for this bike. Maybe a little cheeky engine swap as well while we're at it. And as you can see here, over there, it's definitely cracked. It's going to be leaking out of here, something like that. And check this out. There's some redneck stuff going on. They've got a bottle to collect the waste oil, the oil that's not getting burnt in the carburetor. And I don't know how well it worked, but another thing that I realized was it's also leaking from this bit. I'm not too sure what it's called. We call it an oil pass in Bangladesh, but I don't know the real term for it. And a lot of stuff is going to get changed on this bike, including the wheels, the chain and sprockets, because they are rusty. But yeah, we've got some big plans with this bike, and obviously we're going to go over a few of the things that are wrong with this bike that definitely need to get changed or replaced. First thing that needs to get sorted on this bike, obviously after we've cleaned it up and everything, is to see this. Come here. Like, the whole throttle twists, and a lot of times with sort of stuff like this is the handlebar has a little hole in it where the pin sits in so that it doesn't twist. As you can see over here, this should have really been over here, but there should have been a pin that's locking it in place, but that's not even doing that. And the brakes are rubbish. Like, they don't even work, because look, the drum brakes, as you can see here, where it's meant to stop the cable from coming, it's broken off. So we're going to probably change the whole wheel at this point. And yeah, we need new batteries. I don't know what I'm gonna do about the engine just yet, because that's a big problem there. And we're gonna have to probably get a whole new wiring loom set so we could fit in the rear signal lights, brake lights. And yeah, let's get this bike washed, and then we'll talk through the next steps of what we're going to do with this bike. Another thing that I might have just found out is some sort of JB weld setup gone here, because I think the tank had rusted and it's like peeling off, and I think that's where how all the fuel has leaked out. But yeah, this tank is gonna have to go. We don't got no specific cleaning materials, but we're gonna do a bit of washing up powder techniques. I mean, this bike just needs to get cleaned, that's all. So yeah, we got Mr. Simon on it. Yeah, go on, mix it. If you guys are wondering how much I actually picked this up for, I picked you up for about £100, probably less. I picked you up, first I picked you up for around £70. I put a bit of work into it just to get it running. Then I realized the bike doesn't run very well and it leaks in a lot of places. So yeah, after this being cleaned, we're gonna take this bike apart and see what parts we need to replace or perhaps fix. And I am no good at fixing things, only good at breaking things. So the bike's cleaned. We brought it to this special location so you guys can get a nice little view. And also, we're gonna take apart the whole bike to see what needs replacing, perhaps see what else needs fixing, and what needs adding on, because this bike is really missing a shitload of stuff. So yeah, let's get on with it and let's find out some imperfections with this £100 bike. As you guys can probably tell, we are not no experts at this. I probably only changed brake pads way back in my days, but right now I don't know anything about taking power bike, putting it together. And one thing that really bothered us was the tools. We didn't have the right amount of tools, and as you can see, I moved away from the shop because I was searching for a spanner that you can really size up or size down, and I just let my cousin do the rest with the handlebars, like controlling the handlebars. And obviously, in a moment, as you can see right now, finally I found what I was looking for. Yes. As you can see from our progress, we've not really done much. I've been trying to take the side panels off, but as you've just seen right now, my cousin brother managed to take the left hand side off. And soon you'll see that when I come into the shot, I ask him, how did you take it off? He just tells me he just got put in a certain direction. And then obviously, yeah, I didn't know it was gonna be that simple. I thought I'd have to take the full seat off just to take the side panels off, and that would have just been more of a headache because the bolts were so rusted and they were just rounding off. And yeah, man, it was just hideous. The condition on the bike was just so bad. So first thing we got off is the seat. What we're gonna do with the seat, we're not gonna get a new one, is we're gonna get this prepped very well and then put a whole new cover on by taking the old ones off. So that's gonna get sent to the seat guy. So now obviously we're tackling the rear mudguard, the main mudguard obviously. And because it's so muddy inside and the mud has dried up, it was hard for the spanners to reach in, and the nuts were just in such devastating condition. We just couldn't even hold on to it with spanners. We sprayed WD-40 as much as we could, and then with a bit of tugging and jugging, and somehow I guess we just managed to really kick it off. So, we've got the rear mudguard off, and a lot of these bolts are rusted, so they kind of somehow bonded with the actual metal in some sense. I couldn't even take the wiring off properly, so we just had to take it off on these little bits here. But yeah, hands are dirty. Let's get cracking. Now what should we do now? Now we're gonna just take the head off, so the speedometer. We're gonna take that off. And because we've not got all the tools, we've only got like a select amount of tools that were in that little bag. And yeah, we're gonna take the headlights off, the speedometer, and the controls that are on the handlebar, because this handlebar has to go, because even these control switches have got to go because they're floating inside as well. So let's see how it goes. So obviously, as you can see, it's night now, and we've just cleaned up, and obviously I've got the lungi on, But obviously what we've taken off is the mudguard, the tank, the two side panels, and the seat. And this is from our red bike, but we'll just leave that out. That's got nothing to do with it. And we've got this, I don't really know the name for this. I think it's just a grab rail for the bike. And we've also took this headlight off. Mind the wall, by the way. Just mind the wall, okay? Don't need to mention it. But we've took the headlight, the setup off. All we just need to do is take off these brackets, but obviously it got dark and we just really couldn't be asked doing it. So these brackets need to come off, and then we can take the electrical connectors that are underneath here, and then yeah, this will fully come off. We're going to replace this, and I bought something for my big bike, which is over there. It's covered up. I've got a screen for that, but I'm going to see if I can somehow wire it in to work with this. And yeah, we're going to hopefully have a digital screen in the future. But this is it for what we have stripped apart from the bike so far. And I think here somewhere is where the battery pack is. We're going to be taking the rest of this apart, and I'm planning on taking the engine out today as well. Let's get to it. The past few days it has absolutely been throwing it down with rain, and I couldn't get no job done. And if it wasn't raining, It was hitting us with 40 degrees and it's still hot now, even though it looks a bit cloudy. I'm sweating. But yeah, I've got a tool set. I don't know why I think I'm getting old, but I'm buzzing about this sort of stuff. But it's going to really help me out get into all the bolts, because clearly we didn't have the correct equipment before. So let's get going. It's so satisfying using a proper tool to take things off for a change. But yeah, we're going to take the ignition coil out. Well, I don't know if it is an ignition coil, but this is what I've been calling it since I've seen it. And we're going to just take this plug out, and it's literally as easy as that. And yeah, just put these back in their respectable places. So I'm going to put the bolts in back where they came out from, just so that I don't lose them, because I've already lost track on where half these bolts were supposed to really go. I'm just going to put it in there and put the spare parts just there. So let's get going. Oh, as I was trying to figure out which bolts go where and how I should place them so that I don't forget where they go, I thought I'll tackle the wiring loom. It was pretty easy at first, but then it got to me. I realized I need to remember where these wires connect, because when it comes to rebuilding this thing, it needs to be spot on, and I don't want no electrical failures or whatsoever happening with the bike, or it'll just be a huge headache at the end. Basically, the wiring loom is out, and we've not really got any more wiring on the bike to faff around with, so that's out. We're going to keep that to a side, because I know we're not going to need this, because we're going to be putting a whole different engine in it with a different ECU. But it's best to just keep these laying around, because sometimes these old connectors, well, they may come in handy. Now the wiring loom is out. Appropriately, well, kinda. For now, we have to tackle the engine no matter what. Today is the day I take this engine out. And I'm on my own on this one, as my cousin is out and there's no one around to help me. So let's take this engine out, and later you might realize how stupid I was to use a ratchet wrench to take this engine out. And I've destroyed my tool. Well, ain't that great? I've literally destroyed it. There goes my ratchet wrench. It should have been now that I realize I do not have the correct tools for this job. But still, I don't back down, and I'm still trying to have a go at it with whatever tools I've still got in my arsenal. Only to then realize I've got to call it quits for today, and maybe, just maybe, continue tomorrow with the right tools, and perhaps some helping hands. So, I'm in a bit of a predicament. I've got these tools, I waited a while for them to come, but they're just not strong enough for a lot of the jobs that take place in taking this bike apart. So look, I don't know what to do now, because I've not got the specific tools to take this engine mount off, because it's, I don't know, it's like they must have done some next level talking on that note for it not to come out. But it's raining, it's absolutely going to throw it down now, and it's best if I just go in and continue this job in the morning. One of my equipment's broke, so let me show you where it broke. We bent this, so that's gone. Here it is. This has literally rounded off. Can you see there should have been like a little lock? So this is where this would have been. But the top bit has been twisted off and chewed off. It's completely useless now, but what can we do? Now let's just tidy everything up, and then I'll continue tomorrow for you guys, yeah?
One day later.
So it's another day. It was raining last night, and obviously it was raining, but I've got hopes that it doesn't rain today. Well, I hope it doesn't rain today. And we are definitely gonna take the engine out, and I've got some help. So yeah, I got one of my mechanic friends to come over because, as you seen yesterday, my wrench unfortunately broke. So ignore that, and let's get to taking this off. Firstly, we're gonna target these mounts because the one that broke my my tool yesterday was this one. It's probably just been on there for so long. It just forgot. It has probably forgot how to come back off. That's how long it's been on. But we're gonna take these off. I don't think these will be much of a challenge. And let me just take the exhaust off first so that we can take the engine out more easily. So we've took the exhaust off. As you can see, oh my god, just got myself dirty. But as you can see, it's heavy, and whoever had this previously, they definitely tried to make it look like some sort of machine gun or enhance the noise in some way. But so yeah, let's get rid of this, put this to a side. So I've removed a rusty old machine gun exhaust or whatever that was, and now I'm going to attack the engine mount. And while I'm removing that, hopefully my special guest mechanic friend will arrive and help me take out the full engine. Alright, confession time. I've been waiting forever for my secret weapon to arrive. Not a tool, not a part, but a person. Enter the man, the myth, the mechanic. This is Choyon. I didn't give him a proper intro earlier because, well, I was too busy pretending I knew what I was doing. He's the guy who actually knows how to remove an engine without turning it into a 100-kilo paperweight. So yeah, while I was here scratching my head and googling how not to break a bike, he showed up with tools, skills, and probably a bit of judgment. Why did I bring him, you may ask? Because if I did this on my own, I'd either break something or pull it out like it's a wisdom tooth, with violence and regret. But now that the pro has arrived, it's time to do this right, or at least make it look like we know what we're doing. Today's mission, engine removal, or as I like to call it, surgery without anesthesia. Let's do this. Now we've took the necessary bolts off, we can actually take the engine out now. So engine's out. So that's it with the engine. Now we're gonna take both the wheels off, and then we're gonna take the swing arm off, and then that will be it. The bike will be fully naked now. Alright, so the engine is out. That was a bit of a mission, I can't lie, but it's finally done. Now I've got the front and the rear wheels to take off, and after that I'll be removing the swing arm and the front forks. Basically stripping this thing down to the bare bones. We're going full rebuild mode here. There goes the rear tire, now on to the next. Now that the rear suspensions are coming off, we're also going to take off the rear foot pegs, and then we can move on to taking the swing arm off. Whoa,
Mission successful.
what you said? We've took the steering cowl and the handlebar off. Now we're just gonna lean the bike over slowly. Now because the steering cowl is off, I can now take out the center lock, which helps join the forks to the frame. After that, I can just slide the front forks off in one piece. Ooh, we've got the suspension arms off. Let's go. I'm just gonna remove these bottom bearings because it's actually pointless keeping them on. Now, before anyone jumps into the comments like, bro, why didn't you keep the ball races? Relax. I'm not just tossing stuff out for fun. The steering bearings were absolutely shot, like crunchy, rusty, and a grindy mess. Trust me, even the Titanic had smoother steering at this point. So no, it's not because I'm stupid, it's because they were already dead inside. Just like me during Monday mornings. Oh, barulheta. Oh, barulha. So while I was having my moment in the corner, absolutely vibing, having a mechanical orgasm from getting those trusty old bearings out, the mechanic, cool as ever, is just casually dismantling the front suspension like it's another Tuesday. Bro didn't even flinch. Meanwhile, I'm over here celebrating like I just pulled Excalibur out of a greasy steering stem. Moral of the story, always bring a mechanic friend, and maybe just don't get emotionally attached to your bearings. Starting off with is the frame. We're gonna take all the rust, all the paint off on the frame. So it's gonna get a full fresh silver look, and then we could do a full fresh paint all over it. And there's a bit of rusty bits here, but the welders will do their job on this when the time comes. I got hold of a grinder, some sandpaper, some heavy grit sandpaper, and we're just gonna take this all off. Well, I'm gonna attempt to take the paint off. So right now, I'm using the angle grinder with the sanding disc to strip off the old paint. And yeah, it's working really well. But mate, I'm absolutely flying through these sanding pads. Like every few minutes, one's done for. At this rate, I'm gonna need shares in a sandpaper company. But it's fine, we move. The paint's just that stubborn. Years of grime, dust, and whatever else has been baked onto this frame. But honestly, this is the satisfying part. Watching that old rough paint disappear and bare metal starting to show up. That's when you know the bike's coming back to life. So, we've got rid of 4 sandpaper sheets, well, the sandpaper disc sheets. We've got a different approach. I think I'm just gonna cut off what I don't really need, and then we're gonna brace it with the old bracing that we have to strengthen the structure. So we're gonna go to the bazaar now and get the cutting disc. Let's go. So, we went to the bazaar, we got a blade that can cut through the metal, but obviously before we do that, we're just gonna do a quick rough measurement on where we want to cut it. We don't want to cut it too short or too long, but it's best to just keep it a bit long so we can adjust it later on. As I mentioned, I needed a cutting attachment for the grinder, so I took a quick trip down to the bazaar and picked one up. This thing should slice through steel no problem. I've already marked out where I'm going to make the cut, right at the rear end of the frame. The plan here is to completely redesign the back of the bike. I'm going for this sort of retro racer, scrambler, hybrid type look. Something with a rounded tail, cleaner lines, and the old school vibe, but still tough enough to handle anything. Basically, the goal is to take the Boxster from being just a commuter to something that actually turns heads.
Alright, so to recap, we've took these extensions off from both of each side. So it was here. So now that we're gonna do a single seat conversion, we're just gonna chop it off. And then we're gonna brace it with this little bracing bracket here. I don't know what it's for. I think it's mainly just for seating the seat on, like putting the seat on. So yeah, we're gonna, once we find time, we're just gonna go to the workshop and just weld this on, get this welded on nicely.
All right, I'm in some next man's workshop and I've just had a delivery. I ordered this stainless steel round end piece that's gonna form the new rear section of the frame. I went with stainless because it's so much easier to work with, easy to cut, easy to shape, and it's strong. Plus you can find it pretty much anywhere and everywhere, which makes life a lot easier. Before I go ahead and weld this onto the frame, I've got to make sure it's actually got something solid to grab onto. So what I've done is shoved a bit of solid steel tubing inside the open ends of the frame I just cut. That way when I weld the new piece on, it's not just sitting on a thin edge, it's reinforced from the inside. It gives the weld something to bite into and adds way more strength to the rear end. Once that's in place, I can line up the new round end and start tacking it on. And this is where the whole look of the bike changes. That smooth curve at the back gives it that proper retro racer scrambler silhouette sort of look I've been going for. Clean, solid, and just a little bit mean. It's a small piece of metal, but it completely changes the personality of the bike. This is the part where it stops looking like a commuter and starts looking like a build. Right, we're back from the welder shop. We've got the round done, and now what we're going to do is start working out the seat size and the seat shape, because we've got to really get this right, or else we'll just mess up the whole shape and the look on the bike. And we're gonna go for a nice cafe racer style seat. And if you're wondering why I'm sweating so much, because I'm on the rooftop and it's boiling up here and there's a lot of noise going on downstairs, so that's why we're on the rooftop, and you might just see me sweating in this video.
Ugh. Brother, ugh.
So first we're gonna cut out the seat shape on a piece of cardboard. Then we're gonna cut out a piece of cardboard with that seat shape, so it gives a solid base when I add the fiberglass body on it for the seat design, if you understand what I'm saying. Because as it is my first time using fiberglass, I might not be the best at it, or it might just not be as strong as I wish it to be. That's why I'm reinforcing it with the steel seat base. So yeah, let's get to it. So what I got myself is just some ordinary cardboard, and all I'm going to do is lay it over just like so and get it cut out to design. We've got the foundation for our steel base. I mean, it doesn't look the prettiest yet, but once it's cut out on a steel sheet and we've laid it over, we've grinded it down, it'll look a lot better, trust me. Alright, so now that the rear end's sorted, it's time to move on to something I've been really looking forward to, the seat design. I've drawn up a rough template for the new seat base on a bit of cardboard, just to get the shape and proportions right.
before I go anywhere near the metal. This is honestly one of my favorite parts of any build, when you start seeing the design come to life, even if it's just on cardboard. I'm keeping it simple but solid, something that flows with that rounded tail I just welded in. The seat's gonna sit low and tight to the frame, with a bit of that retro racer scrambler hybrid vibe. Once I'm happy with the template, I'll cut it out and transfer it onto the steel plate for the final seat base. It's weird, but this bit actually feels exciting because up until now it's all been grinding, cutting, welding, but now it's starting to look like something. You can see where it's going, and that's the part that really keeps you going. That's the cardboard mock-up done, and came out pretty much exactly how I wanted it. Now it's time to make it real. I'm transferring this design straight onto a thick piece of steel. This is going to be the actual seat base. I decided to go with a heavy steel base for this one. It's not the lightest option, but it gives the bike that solid, proper old school feel, and it's going to hold up to anything I throw at it. Plus, it just fits the vibe of this build, strong, raw, and built to last. This is one of those moments where the project feels like it's actually happening. You've been planning it, measuring it, sketching it out, and then suddenly you're holding the real thing in your hands. It's a slow process, and this steel isn't easy to work with, but that's part of the fun. Every cut, every edge is one step closer to turning this frame into something personal. And trust me, the final look is going to be worth every bit of effort. So, before the frame goes off for paint, I need to get it prepped properly. That means sanding. Sounds simple, right? Yeah, that's what I thought. At first, I started off gentle, bit of sanding here and there. Then I realized this paint isn't normal. It's like it's fused with the metal itself. I'm going through sandpaper like it's tissue paper. So I started trying, well, everything. Wet sanding, nope. Petrol, diesel, spirit, kerosene, even brake fluid. And that stuff usually melts through paint like butter. But nope, this paint just laughed at me. At this point, I'm starting to think I need some kind of magical potion, maybe straight out of a wizard's garage or something, because nothing on earth seems to take this off. But jokes aside, I'm getting there slowly. The goal is to have the frame smooth and clean before it goes in for paint. And before that, I still need to take it to the workshop to weld on the seat brackets. That's what's going to hold the new steel seat base. Once that's done, it's finally ready for the big transformation, the paint. So after a whole bunch of scrubbing with sandpaper, I realized it was a total loss. So then I went online and I got myself one of these paint removal sprays. Main reason is because it bonds with the paint, causes a chemical reaction and gets rid of the toughest paint known to mankind. So yeah, paint removal spray. Let's get going. Well, let's give this a try. Now this stuff is wild.
It bonds with the paint, causes a full-on chemical reaction, and then, get this, the paint literally starts peeling off like a soggy slice of pizza left out in the rain. I mean, I wish I'd found this earlier. I could have saved about 10 sandpaper discs and maybe a bit of my sanity. Plus, the pressure was on too. The frame's going in for paint tomorrow, so I didn't have time to mess around. I needed this sorted, and fast. And honestly, watching the paint just slide off like that was one of the most satisfying things I've seen this whole build. Sometimes, it's not about the brute force, it's about finding the right trick. So, the paint remover, yeah, it works amazing, but there's one small problem. This stuff goes everywhere, like, I swear a single gust of wind and suddenly it's on my arm, my face, my shirt, except where I actually want it. At this point, I'm thinking I need one of those full-on hazmat suits just to use it, because when this stuff touches your skin, oh, you feel it alright. It gives you this instant burning sensation, like the paint's getting its revenge. And honestly, I don't even want to imagine what happens if it gets in your eyes. One wrong move and I'll be painting the inside of the hospital instead of the frame. But hey, pain is temporary. Progress is permanent. And this paint is finally giving up. Slowly but surely, the box's frame is stripping down to the bare metal, ready for its next step. The seat brackets and fresh paint.
So that's where we're ending things for today. The frame is finally stripped down. Every bit of that stubborn old paint is gone. The frame's already been sent off for paint, and honestly, that's when you know things are coming together. Next up, we've got the welding to finish. The new seat brackets are going on, locking in the whole rear section. And while that's happening, I'll be working on the cosmetic design, figuring out the paint scheme, the finishing touches, and all the little details that are going to make this build look unique. This episode's been all about prep work, stripping back, shaping, laying the foundation. But from here on, things are going to start looking a lot more exciting. I would like to explain why this build took so long.
So after all that work, I sent the frame off to get painted. Simple, right? Yeah, not even close. Days turned into weeks, and weeks turned into months. Every time I checked in, it was the same old story. It will be done soon. But when I actually went to see it, the frame was just sitting there, collecting dust. After 2, almost 3 months, all that had been done was primer. That's it. At that point, it wasn't just frustrating. It felt like the whole build was stuck. Everything else was ready to move forward, but this one thing was holding it back. So I stepped in, a bit of patience and a bit of pressure, and finally things started moving. And eventually they got it done. And when I finally saw the finished paint, it made the wait feel worth it.
Yo, I'm back for part 4 on this build, and I know it's been a long time coming, but really I just not had the time on my hands to get messy, and I couldn't arrange all the materials in time as well. But for some reason it's sunny today, and all week, to be honest, this whole month has been absolutely freezing, and it's really popping on the frame, as you can see from the B-roll shots. So yeah, everything's back from paint. I've left some of the bits of the workshop because I want to continue on making the seat first.
and I'm manufacturing my own seat. And let's just see how it goes, because I've got no experience in this and I doubt it's all going to go to plan. So I've got the GP polyester there. I've got MEKP, the hardener, in the clear bottle. I've got a little ice cream tube which I'm going to put my acetone in, so that obviously it doesn't harden the brush, and the acetone really burns away all the glue off. I've got the wax here. That's going to really help make the surface slippery, so I can take off the mold easily. And there's the fiberglass cloth. I went for an industrial 3000 GSM. It's more heavy duty, and that's what we really need, because Bangladesh doesn't really have the smoothest of roads. I've got some cling film in that parcel packaging there, and I got some of that aluminium foil like tape. It's gonna, I don't know, like we're gonna put it over the cling film, then we're gonna put the wax on it. You'll get the gist of it once I start working on it.
Before getting into the fiberglass, I had to make sure the frame was protected, especially with the fresh paint. So I wrapped the whole area in cling just to stop anything sticking or damaging the finish while I worked. From there, I started to shape out the rear using Play-Doh, building up what I thought was going to be the seat cowl. At the end, it made sense. I was trying to visualize the final shape and get the proportions right. And to be fair, it actually started coming together. But the more I looked at it, the more I realized it just wasn't the direction I wanted to go in. It didn't match the look I had in mind for the bike, so I scrapped the whole cowl idea. Sometimes you've just got to take a step back, accept it's not working, and change directions. And honestly, that decision made the final result way better.
I've made the seat with the steel sheet bracing, and I've also, hold on, the seat cowl is also dried up, cured, and we're just going to see how well it cuts with the grinder. We don't really have a Dremel, so let's just see what we can do. Let's go.
Alright, fresh paint, no mistakes. Marks are set, time to cut, slow and steady through this fiberglass. Now I'm drilling the mounting holes, nice and precise. And that's it, clean cuts, perfect fit. After all that waiting, everything was finally back from paint. And honestly, seeing it all finished like this, it made the whole process feel real. Now came the part where everything had to go back together, piece by piece. At this stage, it's pretty much like a jigsaw puzzle. Every part had its place. You just have to figure out how it all fits back together. Some things went on easily, others took a bit more time, but slowly, everything started to come together. From a bare frame to something that actually looks like a bike again. And with each part going back on, you can really start to see the vision come to life. Looks like I'm taking a step back this episode, but honestly, my mechanic was too eager to get involved. He kept pushing to work on the bike, so I let him loose and gave him full freedom to fit it up. As for me, I tried making a seat cowl, and yeah, that did not go to plan, so I scrapped it. I realized a clean, single seat looks way better anyways, and fiberglass, never again. That stuff is itchy, messy, and just straight up annoying. Other than that, this build is practically complete. A few months ago, this wasn't a build, it was a problem. A scratched frame, parts that didn't fit, and honestly, no guarantee this would even work. I drilled into a freshly painted chassis, I cut fiberglass that I could not replace, I messed up paint more than once, and there were moments I genuinely thought, yeah, I've ruined this. But I kept going, late nights, trial and error, fixing my own mistakes, because I had a vision. And today, after 1 month, you finally see if it was worth it.
What's going on, my people? Welcome back to the channel. If you've been following the build, you already know this wasn't easy. And I'm not going to even lie, there were points in this build where I thought this bike was done for. In a bad way, of course, but somehow we made it here. 1 full month of ownership and 1 full custom build. And today I'm finally revealing the bike. And I need you guys to be honest. Did I pull this off or did I mess it up?
Let me take you back for a second. This build wasn't smooth at all. The fiberglass work alone was stressful. Cutting into something you just painted, yeah, that feeling is not nice at all. Then came the fitment issues. Nothing lined up. Everything needed adjusting. And the worst part, doing something thinking it's perfect, then realizing it's not, and having to redo it again. That's when the build tests you. Not the easy parts, but the moments where you feel like giving up.
And I'm not gonna lie, there were a few moments where I just stood there like, why did I even start this? But at the same time, that's what makes builds like this worth it.
Every single part on this bike has a reason behind it. Nothing here is random. From the tires to the stance to the smallest details. This is exactly how I imagined it.
This is the bike. After a whole month of stress, this is what it turned into.
I can't lie, I was not expecting it to come out like this.
Starting from the front, first of all, I'd want to mention the headlights. The headlights was more of like a modern retro design option that I went for, including this digital screen. Even though this digital screen is having a few problems after I washed it, it might just be a connection issue somewhere down in the wiring. And also, I'm still missing the speed sensor. And I've also added these Cafe Racer type handlebar mirrors. And I think they give it a proper good look. But one thing I realized with these mirrors, they're not really that functional. It's more or less like for the looks, for like the designs on this bike. To think that I made this is hard to believe because I've got no background or experience in building anything other than breaking stuff. This I'm pretty proud of. And another thing that it brings me on to for the front is this tank. This tank has been the whole headache for the build. As you can see, if you can see through the camera close up, you can still see minor scratches and some dulling in the paint. That's just the lack of workmanship in the field of painting motorcycle tanks and whatnot. It's just they're not good at it. They try to take advantage of you in Bangladesh, but what can we do? We were helpless at the point. And I went for a whole different design on the tank. This is a full black tank. The bike's color scheme is black and gold, and I tried to implement that on the tank as well. And also, I changed the name on this bike. Not on paper, but if anyone asks me what this bike is, I got a new name for this bike. And here is where you'll see a little clue on what I've named this bike. The tires, however, have completely changed the look and the feel on the bike.
This was one of the best decisions I made on this build.
Also complementing the new sports suspension that I've added on both of the sides. It's more of a stiffer, tougher riding experience than you'd get from the stock suspension, where the stock suspension is a bit too jumpy. This one makes the bike a lot more planted to the ground, and it really affects how it handles in the turns and also how it accelerates as well. And another thing that I want to mention is how I've cut the rear seat off, and as you can see over here, it's got a round shape. The whole seat is being fabricated by me.
This is one of those parts where if you mess it up, you really feel it.
And the tail lights, I bought them from some Chinese website. And also the exhaust. The exhaust is one of my favorite bits and the favorite touch that I've added on this bike. Even though it was made for this bike, I had to make a whole custom bracket.
Custom work always sounds fun until you're the one doing it.
Just so that it could hang the exhaust from, and the noise on this sounds incredible. For 100cc, but is it really 100cc? I'll get into that right now. And the engine, even though it looks stock, when we was rebuilding this thing, we realized the piston and the cylinder were finished, and that gave us a huge advantage over this bike. We did a whole wide bore kit on this bike, so it's up by 10cc's and it's packing a bit more of punch than 100cc normal engine. Actually, it's pretty impressive what they can do in Bangladesh, but we couldn't go any further because we had limited space in how much we can bore out the cylinders, and obviously we've not got no expertise in that field of wide boring. We did as much as we could, and we gained an extra 10 cubic centimeters. That's the most we can do. But yeah, let's get into the other things.
Before I continue with the rest of the video, subscribe. It helps reach more people who are like-minded, like you. This is the part where it gets awkward if you don't. Yeah, it's you. You're the one staring into this black screen of guilt right now. Have you subscribed? No? Go on. I'll wait. Done? Alright, let's move on. Now let's talk about what it's actually like living with this bike for a month. First thing, how it rides. It feels completely different from when I started this build. More stable, more aggressive, and way more fun. As soon as you get moving, it just feels natural. There's no adjustment period. It clicks straight away, but then you realize this isn't completely stock. The bump from 100cc to 110cc, you can actually feel it. It gives the bike this extra punch. You twist the throttle and it responds instantly. There's a bit more urgency, a bit more life to it, and it doesn't just move, it wants to move. And that's what makes it fun. Every input feels a little sharper and a little more alive. Now the seat, I'm not even gonna lie, the Cafe Racer seat is hard, like properly hard, but that's kind of the point. You feel everything, every bump, every little detail on the road, it all comes through. It's not the most comfortable thing, but it makes you feel way more connected to the bike. You're not just sitting on it, you're a part of it. And once you start picking up speed, that connection really starts to show. The tires grip properly. You lean into a corner and it just holds. No hesitation, no weird movement. It gives you that confidence to push a bit more every time. And when you combine that with suspension, that's where it really shines. The tires and the suspension together just work. The bike feels planted, stable, and surprisingly agile. You throw it into corners and it just flows. It goes exactly where you want it to go. It genuinely feels like a handling focused setup. And that's what makes it addictive. Because now it's not just about going fast in a straight line, it's about how it moves, how it feels through corners, how everything responds to you. Cruising feels smooth and easy, but the moment you push it, it tightens up and becomes way more responsive, like it's been waiting for you to do that. And all those little things start to come together. The extra punch from the engine, the raw feedback from the seat, the grip from the tires, and the way the suspension ties it all in. It creates this connection that you can't really explain. You just feel it, and that's what makes you want to keep riding. No destination, no reason, just one more stretch of road. Because at that point, it's not just a bike anymore, it's an experience.
But I'm not going to stand around here and say it's perfect. It is far from it. There are still a lot of things that I'd like to change and small issues, things that I'd like to improve.
Because that's the reality of builds like this. They're never really finished.
Also, no one tells you this part. Building a bike like this is 10% fun and 90% why is this not fitting? And somehow you still want to do it again.
Looking at it now, from where it started to what it is now, this isn't just a bike anymore. It's something I built for myself.
But this isn't the final version. There's more coming for this bike, and trust me, it's gonna be getting a lot more crazier.
And if you've been part of this journey, I appreciate you.
Now, I need your opinion. Rate this build out of 10. Be honest, I can take it. And if you've enjoyed this video, hit like, subscribe, and yeah, I will see you on the next one.
And if you've been waiting this long to find out the new name for this bike, I'm going with the Bajaj Cobra. Yeah.